friends. I just finished a tour in Lower Manhattan, so I thought I would show you around the Lower Manhattan Christmas lights because there's some pretty spectacular lights to see. I'm looking at Zuccotti Park right now, and I'm going to come back to this, but what I really want to show you first is something that I just found from another creator. His name is Ariel, and he has a channel called The Urbanist, exploring cities, and he alerted me to this Christmas related site that I never knew was Christmas related. So I'm going to attempt to turn the camera around, and you will see this building with a white dome on it. This is St. Nicholas Greek Orthodox Church. Hello, Andrew. So this is St. Nicholas Greek Orthodox Church. Now, as you probably know, St. Nicholas is sort of the origin of our modern day Santa Claus. And inside of St. Nicholas Greek Orthodox Church, there's actually a relic of St. Nicholas, and that relic is a bit of his hand bone. So there's actually, in many ways, a little bit of Santa Claus right here at the World Trade Center site. Now I'm gonna turn back around because I want to show you some of the holiday lights, because we have some really spectacular holiday lights in Lower Manhattan. Some people might even say some of the trees rival the Rockefeller Center tree. And thank you, Andrew, for telling me to stay warm. It is quite chilly. It's about 30 degrees Fahrenheit out today, which, you know, it gets colder. It does get colder in New York City. I'm dressed very warm. It was a very chilly tour that I gave today. But right now I want to walk us through Zuccotti Park because I really like their twinkly lights. And they actually have a holiday market here as well. So if you're watching, also feel free to let me know where you're watching from. And if you've been to New York City, you might even be watching from New York City. So entering Zuccotti Park, being a good New Yorker, waiting for the crosswalk. So we have these twinkly lights. And then a holiday market. I love the holiday markets in New York City. Now these are relatively new, our holiday markets. They're only a couple of decades old. Hi, Rob. If anyone wants information about Washington, D.C., you want to follow Trip Hacks DC. He has the best Washington, D.C. information. Now these holiday shops in New York City, these were based off of the holiday market specifically in Germany. We decided to bring a little bit of that European feel here to New York City. And I always tell people that if you're looking for a truly unique New York gift, something that you can't find anyplace else, that these markets are a great place to do that, because a lot of these stalls are being run by local New York City artisans, and sometimes they'll even personalize the gifts right there. Oh, I have a friend watching from Michigan. I went to college in Michigan. So when people talk about it being cold, that's where it's really, really cold. It's up in Michigan. So I just wanted to explore these little holiday markets. This is a relatively small holiday market for New York City. We have much larger ones, but it's nice. And down here, we have this cluster of Christmas trees in Zuccotti Park. And then this large red sculpture, which is here year-round. It's not special for Christmas. It's always pretty to see. And what I really am going to do is I'm going to take us down to Wall Street, because that's where we're going to see the New York Stock Exchange Christmas tree. And it is really spectacular this year. Oh my goodness, Rob says he went to Ann Arbor once in February. That is cold. It's a different kind of cold than I feel in New York. I feel like New York has a very special wind that can make it feel even more cold than Ann Arbor in February. So right now, just to give everyone an idea of where I am walking downtown, so that's south on Broadway. This is sometimes referred to as the Canyon of Heroes, because if I look down at the ground, we have these granite slabs, and they list everybody who's ever had a ticker tape parade held in their honor. So ticker tape parades, they started out when people would actually tear up ticker tape and drop it like confetti on the revelers below. Now I mentioned it's called the Canyon of Heroes. We have the hero aspect, the people who had the ticker tape parade held in their honor. But it's called the Canyon of Heroes because the buildings create a canyon effect. It looks like a canyon of buildings. Now I'm coming up to this really beautiful building. This is Trinity Church. It is the third Trinity Church that has stood here on this site. The first one burned down in the Great Fire of 1776 when we accidentally burned the entire city of New York down to the ground. We rebuilt it. That one storm, the roof actually caved in. So this is the third one to stand on the site. Now you can see for Christmas, they have these really wonderful like pine garlands, and I believe we're gonna go in for a feel. I think that they're real. We have real pine garlands, which is very nice. A lot of people really note the graveyard at Trinity Church because this is where Alexander Hamilton is buried. Let me know if you want me to go and say hello to Alexander Hamilton. Otherwise, we'll go right to Wall Street. But I do want to show you this because it's just really pretty. The entrance to Trinity Church, all decked out in its Christmas finery. But right now, we're gonna go to Wall Street. Now I find a lot of people are surprised when they get to Wall Street because they expect it to be very big, and it's actually kind of this really small cobblestone street. We're going to head down Wall Street. We're technically on Wall Street right now. And you can already start to see some of the stock exchange Christmas decorations. But what we really want to see is the New York Stock Exchange Christmas tree. It's going to be just around the corner. So what do you think of, this is the stock exchange. What do you think of their Christmas decorations so far? I really like it. I feel like it almost takes me back in time. There you can see it says Wall Street. So Rob just asked, have I ever taken a tour of the New York Fed? And I have not. Maybe I will put that on the top of my list in January and February. So typically for New York City tour guides, January and February is really, really slow season. Not a lot of people come to visit us. Sometimes that's when we'll take our own vacations and travel the world. So that might be when I take a lot of tours of places like the New York Fed. Have you, Rob, or has anyone else watched ever taken that tour? Let me know. And we're gonna come around the corner. I find that a lot of people are surprised that really the most famous views of the New York Stock Exchange are actually on Broad Street and not on Wall Street. So this is the Christmas tree. And I just think it is so beautiful. Some facts about this tree. This year, this Christmas tree is 70 feet tall. So it's 70 feet tall, which means it's only 12 feet shorter than the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. So that's really impressive. It's also a Norway spruce, similar to the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. Now, I really like the twinkling light effect that this tree has. And as we get closer to it, we're going to really see that this tree has ornaments. It's a feature that the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree does not have. And they all say NYSE or New York Stock Exchange on them. So a lot of New Yorkers actually prefer this tree to Rockefeller because it has ornaments on it. So what do you think? Let me know if you prefer this tree to the Rockefeller tree. This year I'm in love with the Rockefeller tree. I told everyone it's my tree. But it's also really special to see this tree with that gorgeous backdrop of the New York Stock Exchange. I'm going to show you another really wonderful view of this tree in just a minute. Now this tree also, at the base, we have both a Hanukkah menorah that's on the north side, and here we also have the Kwanzaa candles. So they're really celebrating all of the holidays here. Now I'm going to walk north on Broad Street. I'm going to get back to this tree. But there is a little statue here that people absolutely love. This is called the Fearless Girl. Now, the Fearless Girl sculpture, she was originally put in front of the Charging Bull sculpture, which was put out by Arturo Demodica. It was moved to the north end of Bowling Green. And she kind of changed the messaging of the bull. It's a very long, complicated story for another day. But long story short, they moved the Fearless Girl here to stand in front of the New York Stock Exchange. And I really like seeing the tree from the point of view of this fearless girl. We have lots of people taking photos with the Fearless Girl. I'm going to try to get us a good angle there of the Fearless Girl with the tree. Oh no, gimbal going crazy. I also really like seeing the Fearless Girl. There's a really pretty photo that you could take from behind, and you get to see the New York Stock Exchange as well. It's a little crowded today because everyone's excited for the Christmas decorations. A little bit, but let me know what you think of the New York Stock Exchange Christmas tree. And how do you think it compares to the tree at Rockefeller? Another fun fact, you may have seen I made a short about this, but the New York Stock Exchange has had a tree since 1923. So Rockefeller started its tree lighting ceremonies officially in 1933. So it's 10 years later. So this is one of the very first public Christmas tree lightings in New York City taking place in front of the New York Stock Exchange. And it's the same year, 1923, that our very first national Christmas tree had its tree lighting. And apparently the president showed up to that Christmas tree lighting, and actual electric Christmas tree lights were still very new. They hadn't actually become available to the public until 1903, if I recall correctly. And people were literally lighting their Christmas trees with candles, which was resulting in a lot of Christmas tree fires. So people wanted to really promote, hey, electric Christmas tree lights. They're safe, they're awesome, they're beautiful. Use those. Christmas tree fires, it's sad. You don't want to leave your Christmas tree unattended. Now this is kind of a funny little unfestive walk. So Rob says, candles on Christmas trees is bonkers. That is true. I actually heard that, so Frank Sinatra, who has one of the most beloved Christmas albums of all times, I believe it's called Christmas by the Fireside. He had a mansion that got burned down by a Christmas tree fire. So that's the irony. Okay, so we're walking through this unglamorous path, but we're getting back to the Canyon of Heroes. This unglamorous path, by the way, is called Exchange Place. So we're going to get back to the Canyon of Heroes, and I'm going to take us to the the Charging Bull. I usually come from Lower Manhattan and walk up, so I've never actually walked up this hill, or I don't recall it. I didn't realize how steep it was. Now, fun fact, the very first ticker tape parade to be held in New York City now was held right here on Broadway in the area known as the Canyon of Heroes. Anyone know who that was for? If you know, write in the comments. I'll give you the answer in a minute. Okay, so I'm back in the Canyon of Heroes. I'm heading south, heading downtown towards the Charging Bull. And I will tell you who that very first ticker tape parade was held for. It was held for the Statue of Liberty, October 28th, 1886. She had her very first ticker tape parade the day that she was dedicated. So I think that that's really fun. And the most recent ticker tape parade was held, I want to say, I'm going to get the date wrong. I want to say it was in 2021, but it might have been in 2020. And it was for our first responders. It was for our frontline workers during the pandemic. And I actually attended that ticker tape parade. So that was the most recent ticker tape parade. And before that, I think the most recent was the women's soccer team for winning the Women's World Cup. So Argentina just won the World Cup yesterday, the FIFA World Cup, and Times Square went bonkers. Oh my goodness. Everything in Midtown Manhattan was people being very excited about Argentina winning. Okay, so we're almost at the Charging Bull. You can kind of begin to see its tail up ahead. Legend is, if you touch the bull, you will become a millionaire, and it doesn't matter where you touch it, and it is an anatomically correct bull. So there are long lines in both the front and the back. So here we have the Charging Bull. They've started to form lines to be able to get your photo with the bull or to touch it. I'm not going to do that today. Today, I just wanted to go show off this little Christmas tree. So here's the bull. Don't know if the line's longer in the front or the back. That's the line for the back. The things I have seen done to that poor bull. So I just wanted to show off this Christmas tree too, because I think it's quite nice and deserves a little bit of glory. It's much shorter than the New York Stock Exchange Christmas tree, but I still like it. I wanted to showcase that. It is in front of Bowling Green Park. And then we're gonna go, ooh, lots of excitement happening down here. We also have a menorah here in Bowling Green Park, so we want to celebrate all the holidays that are happening. You see the menorah. Okay, I'm gonna turn around. Here we have a bit of a better view of that Christmas tree. Now the flag, you might notice if the flag ends up billowing out, but the flag, the American flag, only has 13 stars, and that represents the original colonies. So this whole area right here, it is called, when I show you the sign, it's like Evacuation Day Plaza. George Washington, the story is that George Washington, after the American Revolution, after America won on November 25th, 1783, George Washington wanted to come into New York City and have a big celebration. I think he was supposed to come in like on a chariot that was carried by white horses. And when the British left, they evacuated. The British evacuated, hence the name Evacuation Day. They didn't want George Washington to have that pleasure of riding in and celebrating. So they put up a flagpole and they put up the British flag on top of the flagpole. And they cut the strings and greased the flagpole. And George Washington was like, I am not coming into Manhattan while the British flag is still there. So everyone was freaking out. What are we gonna do? How are we gonna get this British flag down? Finally, somebody managed to climb up the pole. I heard that he went out and bought cleats, but I don't know where you could buy cleats in 1783. They got the flag down, they put up an American flag, and George Washington was able to come in. And we actually celebrated Evacuation Day before we celebrated Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is relatively newer. So that's why we have the colonial flag here in front of that really pretty Christmas tree. And then I'm just gonna attempt to turn this around. There is a corgi. There is a corgi. There is a corgi. And I love corgis more than anything. Oh my goodness. Hi, corgi. Oh, can you say hi? I used to have a corgi, so they make me so happy. Oh my goodness. You guys, I'm saying hi to a corgi and I'm just in heaven. Thank you so much. Okay, so that just made my life. Here is the menorah up here. And something that I did not know is that you put the candles in the menorah from right to left, but then you light them left to right. So I just learned that this Hanukkah season. Yes, corgis are the most beautiful, most amazing dogs that have ever existed. And one day I would like to own a corgi. Okay, so we are basically at the southern tip of the island of Manhattan. This is Bowling Green Park. There's usually a fountain here, but it's really cold, so they don't have the water in. They even had, I was at the 9/11 memorial, and they had the waterfalls of the North Pool turned off because it is so cold. So if you are planning on coming to New York City, you're definitely going to want to bundle up. I think it's supposed to be a really cold Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So just make sure that you bundle up for that. Now, I do also want to say that I am going to be in Florida for Christmas. I'm going to turn the camera around, or attempt to. So I'm going to be in Florida for Christmas. I actually leave for Florida tomorrow. So I might do a live beach walk if anyone's interested in seeing how Floridians celebrate Christmas. But otherwise, I know that like Ariel of Urbanist, John Freya of Here in NY, and my friend Maureen of Sincerely Maureen, they're going to keep everybody up to date on all the awesome stuff happening in New York City. And also, Sincerely Maureen and Here in NY are also taking wishes for the wishing wall for New Year's Eve. So if you follow them, you can send in a wish for the New Year's Eve, and they'll write it on a piece of confetti, and then they'll put it in a box, and then when the confetti drops on New Year's Eve, that your wish is going to be in all of that confetti. So that'll be really, really cool. I'll be back for New Year's Eve, but I don't know what I'm gonna do on New Year's Eve. So thank you for joining me on this slightly festive holiday walk of Lower Manhattan. Happy holidays, everyone.